Ericson. I've been playing Ultimate Frisbee since 1982, so 34 years now. I first picked up Frisbee at computer camp at Duke University, and played for a summer while we were programming on Apple IIe's way back then. And after that, I then was familiar when I ran into the sport at high school. I went to Northfield Mount Herman between 82 and 86, and it was a competitive team, varsity sport at the school. Northfield Mount Herman had a long and good partnership with the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and students from their phys ed program would come and coach our sporting teams, including our ultimate team. So we had the captain of the UMass Amherst team the whole time I was at Mount Herman as our coach. We affectionately called him Buzz, and I can't remember what Dave's last name was, but he was a character. I can remember him playing defense and shutting down everyone on our team wearing Converse All-Star high tops, not even needing to put the cleats on. But he knew the fundamentals of the sport, and he was a great coach. I played 4 years at Mount Herman on the varsity team, starting on the B team, learning the sport, and eventually ending up on the starting line handling for our A squad. The last year, 1986, we qualified to play at the U.S. Nationals, but there was no official juniors league at that point. But that tournament was, I believe, in Washington, D.C., so we did send a crew of kids down to play. Anyway, at that point, I was fully hooked on Ultimate. But after high school, I moved back to Canada to go to the University of New Brunswick, and moved into the hinterland where there was no organized Ultimate Frisbee. Nevertheless, in a university environment, you find a lot of people that have been exposed to the sport from different parts of the world, and we started a pickup league in Fredericton. It would have been summer of 1987, I believe. No, or maybe the summer of 1987. We started playing on vacant sports fields on Sunday afternoons, and just a Sunday afternoon pickup. Anyway, our numbers grew, and by the end of my undergrad years, and that would have been 1992, we had enough people that could commit to be on a traveling team, and so we would travel to Halifax, Moncton, Amherst, areas in the Maritimes, and play with other local groups. Sometimes we'd have to shake the teams up a little bit when we arrived because of numbers. But nevertheless, that's when the ball got rolling and we started traveling outside the city playing. It got to the point where in 1993, we formed our first traveling team with uniforms. We were called the Fredericton River Rats. And we joined up with some players from Halifax and some players from Winnipeg, and went to the 1993 Canadian Nationals in Ottawa, and that was my first Canadian national tournament. And Ottawa waxed the home team, the host team. They won the Nationals that year, beating Vertigo in the finals. Our first game of that tournament, and I'm not exaggerating when I say we were ranked at the bottom, but we started our first game on Saturday morning playing the host team, and I think we played their fourth line or something like that. But we went up on them 3 points to nothing, and it was the high point of my Ultimate career for a couple of years. Had a great tournament, ended up playing our last game against the Lasqueti Island Warriors, I think their name was, or something like that. It was an excellent experience, met people from all over Canada. I still keep in touch with some of the players from Winnipeg and Vancouver that we met there. Anyway, then we came back to Fredericton with tales of a wonderful experience in Ottawa. That next summer we started a summer league and branched out and started to develop the sport, and it's been growing ever since.
Awesome. I've heard of Lasqueti Island.
Mm-hmm.
Just living in Calgary, they talked about this bunch of hippies that run around on this island playing Frisbee.
Absolutely. And in fact, I've got a couple pictures from back then. One of the players on their team, he looks like Santa Claus. And it's kind of like what you think Santa Claus might do in the off-season. But he was excellent, and I don't know where he learned it. I think he was an early Frisbee freestyler. So he had some some mad skills that didn't necessarily translate to ultimate frisbee. But back in those days, if you weren't part of a very intense athletic club, the spirit of the game was a very different thing. So you spent a lot of time with the team that you played. You kept in contact with these people. Ultimate frisbee was played by a very diverse group of people, but it was always kind of an unwritten rule at the time that if you traveled to another city and you knew someone there, you could crash on their couch and you were welcome to play on their league team. So I played in a dozen different cities in Canada and the United States, a couple in Europe, a couple in Australia, where I just send a note ahead saying, hey, I'm coming to town, what night is your city league? So I've gotten to play frisbee on all four corners of the globe practically. Yeah, periodically with the help of Mother Nature, you can throw a frisbee and it will go places that just boggle the imagination. And I think it was, when was it, 2007, 2009? I mean, it was a national tournament in Montreal. And I was pulling with the wind behind me on one of their fields. And this is at the Douglas Hospital grounds. Mother Nature helped me more than ever. So if I launched the disc and it went, deep into the other end zone, which is an easy or an expected thing to do for a good puller. But the wind hit it and pushed it a couple 100 feet up into the air, and then the wind changed direction and pushed it out of that field, across another field, across some gardens, across the road, into the fields on the other side of that road. So there's unfortunately no way we can actually calculate how far that disc went. But 2 games later, one of the women's team's captains came with the frisbee because it had our team name on it and all that kind of stuff. And we've been able to since on Google Earth try to calculate how far away it was. It's a shame we can't get that into the Guinness Book of World Records. By far my longest pull, but not my longest throw to a reception. I think my longest throw to a reception happened at the Clambake tournament at Bowdoin College. And I received the disc in the end zone, threw a dump, had to get another dump, and then ended up throwing one to the opposite end line to one of my friends, Simon Wilby, who had to make a cut from behind me in my own end zone all the way to the back line at the other end of the field to catch that disc. And that's probably the long throw that I'm the most proud of. And there's a few others that stick in my memory from throwing frisbees upwind, because a good handler and a good long thrower can really make a difference on a very windy day, especially a day when the wind's not gusting, when it's consistent, because you can sucker in zone defenses, you can pull them really short and then just take advantage. And some of those opportunities are things that I've relished. But the long throw also, it's a horrible temptation. The older I get and the more Ultimate I play and watch, the more I realize that discipline is the hidden master of Ultimate Frisbee. It's a game of keep away, and you really can keep that Frisbee until temptation takes it away from you. So that's one of the things that I try to talk about with young players, is to remain disciplined as a team, as an individual, to throw within your skills. All those things are great pieces of advice. Pieces of advice that I wish I had embraced earlier and paid more attention to.